So to get the spirit going up in here, I want everybody to participate. So if everybody stand up. Put the coffee down, Africa. You got to participate.
All power to the people.
All power, man. I put my thing now, 1995.
I basically just want to open this up, ask the ancestors, you know what I'm saying, to bless us, have a good meeting. So to call on the ancestors, you know what I'm saying. I was taught this little thing in solidarity with some different groups that I work with. Basically, I just want y'all to repeat after me, and you know what I'm saying, after that we get the spirit going, then we get to start it, all right? So since we're here for some Black Power thing, I want everybody to put their fist up. There you go. You ready? All right, y'all ready? One man.
One man.
Oh, no, that's weak. That's weak. We're
All
here
right,
for some
all
Black
right.
Power thing. Okay, you ready? One man.
One man.
One woman.
One woman.
One child.
One child.
One block.
One block.
One block at a time.
One block at a time.
All power to the people.
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 Yeah, and that's how this thing got to work. It got to be one block at a time. It got to be real intimate. You know what I'm saying? Got to be in situations like this. So, me just open it up. I'm Jack from the Open Program, here to work in coalition and solidarity with the new African Black Panther Party. And the brothers here just to give y'all a political breakdown of the Black Panthers 10-point program, which is an original blueprint that us as black people, we can grab a hold on, create our own programs for our people, because it got to be us helping us. And you know what I'm saying? Get this black power, this black beauty thing back rolling. So with that, I give the floor over to my comrade, Zulu Shara.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
And so today we're going to talk about a little bit about the history of the Black Panther Party. Because I think we have to put that in proper context. The Black Panther Party, for the most part, was started in 1966. And the reason why it was started was because there was a lot of brutality taking place in our community. The police would ride up, knock a person in the head, frame them on a charge, and throw them into the prison system. And in Oakland at the time, a lot of people was coming from the South, moving west. And consequently, a lot of the black folk that lived in the South ended up in Oakland. And the police in Oakland was just as racist as the police in Louisiana, where Huey P. Newton came from. So there was a lot of brutality. If you know, in 1965, there was the Watts Rebellion. Some of the cats that studied history here know about the Watts Rebellion. The Watts Rebellion was one of the most glorious moments in our people's resistance because they fought back. You know, they wasn't relying upon Lyndon Baines Johnson's government at the time. They fought back, they resisted. And out of the flames of this resistance rose the Black Panther Party. So Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale said that we have to push back against the egregious assault on our humanity as a people. So they started the Black Panther Party with 5 individuals. And their specific task was to patrol the police. Because at that time, 99.99% of the police in our community was predominantly white. And they're still that way in a lot of our communities. But at the time, that's all you saw. And so when they came into the community, it was an occupied force. It was like the same way they occupied Iraq, the same way they occupied Libya, the same way they occupied Haiti. They occupied our communities that way. They came in, they said, don't move over here, don't move over there. And they had a military establishment set up. So our people was being brutalized. So we had to patrol the police, but it wasn't just about patrolling the police. It was informing people about our rights. You know, because the same way that you have so-called rights today, you had those same so-called rights back then. So the police had to conduct themselves in a certain way. So here we would ride around patrolling the police with a law book. And he would utilize the law book to hold them accountable to the strictness of their own law. You know, it wasn't necessarily about they believed in the law, but they held them accountable to their law because they would use their law against you and I. So why can't we use the law to hold them accountable for their violations, their corrupt behavior? So the Black Panther Party started as a result of that. But it became much more than just a patrol force, a self-defense force. In 1967, May the 2nd, 1967, they invaded what they call the capital in Sacramento. In Sacramento, this is what projected the Black Panther Party onto the national stage. Because at that time, you had a guy named Mumford. He was writing a bill to outlaw the carrying of weapons in the inner city. And there was a reason for that. We were not allowed to defend ourselves because we were not considered human beings. Even to this day, in some parts of this country, black folk are not really considered human beings. In some people's eyes, you're still a 3/5 of a human being. And so they went to Sacramento, California. And here we wrote a magnificent statement. He said that there come a time when the people have to draw the line in the sand. And this line is that we would defend our humanity. We would defend our dignity. And we would utilize any means at our disposal to fight for our freedom. And so here we all power to the people, young brothers. See y'all next time.
Yes.
All power to the people, young brother. And we will utilize any tools at our disposal to fight for our people's freedom. And as a result of that, the Black Panther Party was projected onto the national stage. No longer was it just based in Oakland. It went to Chicago with Fred Hampton, and went to Seattle with Aaron Dixon, and when it came to New York with the Zayd Shakur brothers. It came to, it went everywhere. Philly with Mumia Abu-Jamal and them. And so it came, you have 42 chapters of the Black Panther Party. 42 chapters sprung up as a result of the activities that was taking place in California at the time. And when the Black Panther Party began to become a national organization, it came under attack as well. And this is what we stress all the time in our meetings, that our enemy, our oppressor, is just not going to allow us to organize against their injustice. They're going to come up with ways to destroy us. They're going to try to pit us against one another. They're going to whisper in your ear, oh, Shaka Zulu think he's the big man. And if we weak in our ideology, in our determination, in our unity, some of us fall for that nonsense. You know, they're whispering in this brother's ear, oh, they over there spending all the money up. How come you ain't got no money in your pocket? And if we're weak, we're going to fall for that nonsense. That's how they work. And if they can't get you through bribery, they get you through other means. They throw you in prison. You know, they get you under the IRS. They say, well, the building you own, the code ain't up to standard. You don't have a fire escape. Or you don't have whatever. The building, the doors are not the way they're supposed to be. So you're going to come under attack. They're going to attack us. But we have to know that we stand on the right side of history. And the Black Panther Party at that time stood on the right side of history. Everybody turned their back on the Black Panther Party. The NAACP, CORE, and some other groups turned their back because the Black Panther Party was too radical. And what do they mean by being too radical? They demanded better housing. For some folk, it was just too radical. They demanded better education. They demanded better foods. That's why the breakfast program was started in '68. Because young brothers like you, young sisters like her, will go to school hungry. There was no such thing as breakfast in school. There was no such thing as lunch in school. The Black Panther Party filled the need in our community, a void in our community. And that's what we're trying to do today. Fill a void in our community because everybody has attached themselves to the electoral process. And for us as revolutionaries, the electoral process is an organization of bourgeoisie. Not saying we're not going to take advantage of it later on, but right now we need to build base areas of social, cultural, and political power. The same way that the original Black Panther Party did. And so they came under attack by J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover said that the #1 threat to the security of the United States was the Black Panther Party. And guess for what? Because they served breakfast in the morning. Go back and read the documents. J. Edgar Hoover said we must destroy this reference program because it's giving a revolutionary group legitimacy in the eyes of the people. And they did everything in their power to discredit the Black Panther Party. They had Uncle Sam, Uncle Tom, Negro Sambos that would come out every day and say the Black Panther Party is horrible, disgusting. They look just like you and I. But they was on the payroll of the government of the United States. They had journalists. The same way they got journalists today for the New York Times, for Washington Post, for CNN, MSNBC. They was on the payroll of the FBI. They would write a bad report, a bad story, saying that this particular individual was a womanizer. And then they would send that information to another cat in the organization, and without them reporting it to one another, they would take it and spread the gossip. And guess what happens? Polarization came within the organization, folks stopped liking one another, and the organization began to fight against one another. That's why it's important for us, as an emerging Black Panther Party, to grow to love one another, to grow to respect one another, and to grow to listen to one another. Because when we're like this, anybody can get in there. That's open. Anybody can come in that. But when we turn it into a fist, it becomes an impenetrable wall. And the oppressor don't like walls. They like stuff they can easily slide through. So it's important to understand that the Black Panther Party is not no weak history that we're picking up. You know, there were individuals, Conrad Little Bobby Hunting's age, your age, that ran organizations. This guy here, Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton, one of our best, 21 years old, when the government of the United States kicked this door in, shot him in the head. No questions asked. Shot him right in the head. And shot his wife, who was pregnant with her son and his son. Today, he's known as Chairman Fred Hampton in Chicago. He's alive. But he was only 21 years old when they shot him in the head. This guy here, George Jackson, 29 years old. This is George Jackson, 29. He became politicized, educated in the prison system. He went to jail the same way I went to jail, the same way Malcolm X went to jail, as a common criminal. He preyed on the community. He sold drugs. He robbed. He got high. But when he went to prison at 18 years old, for stealing $70 from a gas station, they gave him 1 to life in prison. But he didn't go to prison wasting time just trying to lift weights. He didn't go just trying to play cards. He didn't go just trying to play basketball. He went and encountered some brothers who were revolutionaries, and they helped him transform his criminal mentality into a revolutionary mentality. And he became one of the baddest motherfuckers we ever had. Excuse my language. 29 years old. Guess what happened to him? In San Quentin prison. They put a bullet in his head because he was too powerful. Wrote 2 books, Blood in My Eye and The Solitaire, the prison letters of George Jackson. Organized the whole prison system in California. He organized the whole prison system in California, and they started at the time the BGF, the Black Guerrilla Family. At that time, it was a revolutionary group. Today, you have different tendencies of it, and it has engaged in some counterproductive behavior. But when they started it, it was an offshoot of the Black Panther Party. Huey P. Newton was in prison when they met. Huey said, man, you got this joint organized. San Quentin, Solitaire, Folsom, he had it organized. Brothers was together. But there was no racism. He had the Latinos organized. He had the blacks and the poor whites that joined on to the revolutionary struggle. They were organized. They was together. The prison couldn't do anything to them. And so they had to kill him. J. Edgar Hoover, read the papers. I have them. J. Edgar Hoover said, we can't let this guy out of prison. This guy's too powerful. He became the field marshal of the Black Panther Party. And he organized within the prison system for our people's liberation and freedom. This guy here, these are our heroes. Our Prince Bunchy Carter, in prison. He became politicized and educated while in prison. Bunchy Carter. He was a member of the Nation of Islam. When Malcolm X was killed in 65, he left the Nation of Islam and joined the Black Panther Party under the leadership of Eldridge Cleaver. And became one of the baddest dudes that we ever had as a revolutionary. And he was also the leader of the Slauson gang. 5,000 members of the Slauson gang came into the Black Panther Party when he changed his life. Imagine the army and the power that was at the disposal of the Black Panther Party. 5,000 members of the Slauson gang went into the Black Panther Party under his leadership. They was known as the Wolves. They was the Underground Brothers. You know, they didn't do no talking. When they came, they handled business. You know, they dealt with the oppressor the same way the oppressor dealt with us. You know, it wasn't no turn the other cheek and let me kiss you and hug you while he keeps smacking us upside the head. No, they dealt with him the same way they dealt with us. Our people, humanity must not be played with. And that's very important to understand. So these individuals, I'm sorry we don't have a woman. We don't have the females in the Black Panther Party up here. And hopefully next time we will. But we have Ashada Shakur. We have Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother. We have Joan Bird. You have Rosemary Millie. These are wonderful powerhouses. Elaine Brown, Kathleen Cleaver. These are wonderful sisters who led the party during their time. And brothers respected them. Kathleen Cleaver, not only was she the National Minister of Communications, but she was also an organizer for SNCC at the time. SNCC was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee under the leadership of H. Rap Brown and Stokely Carmichael. So this is the backdrop. This is the background to the development of the Black Panther Party. Now let's modernize it. Let's bring it up to date. Why did we start the New African Black Panther Party and the United Panther Movement? We started this organization in a prison cell. And there was a reason why it was started in the prison cell. It was because that's where most of us was at. That's where most of the poor, oppressed, exploited, humiliated, and degraded black bodies were at. I'm not talking about those connected to the universities of higher learning, those who had jobs on the street, the working class. I'm talking about where I came from. I came from the lumpen element, the lumpen proletariat. And y'all kind of have to learn what that means. That only simply means someone who was broken off from the economy. You know, we sold drugs, we robbed, we stole, we preyed on one another. In the prison cell, that same mentality was there. Folks fought with one another. You know, they hurt one another over drugs, over illicit activities, and the guards loved that. They loved that because we was not fighting for better education. We was not fighting for better health care. All of these exploitative things that we're fighting for right now is in the prison system on a smaller level. And so the chaos, the anarchy, the self-hate, it was there. It was polarized. And so we saw a need to fight against that, because the quickest way to make a slave is to teach him not to fight. It's to teach him not to resist. And our people in the prison system was taught not to resist, not to fight. In fact, some of us out here are scared to resist and scared to fight. And I don't mean literally throwing blows. I mean figuratively, standing up for principle and not being moved by what we studied last week called liberalism. Because that's my friend, I don't want to say anything to that individual. Or because he may have a little bit of money, I don't want to upset the gravy cart, so I don't say anything to that individual. We studied this last week. It's called liberalism. Sacrifice of principle for the immediacy, for the gratification that comes with being with someone who can bring you rewards. We have to resist that. We have to resist that. And we have to remain true to what we stand for. There are going to be folks that come and say, well, you know, if you call yourselves another name, I'll probably get down with y'all. You know, there are going to be folks that come to you and say, look at this guy here. He's only 12 years old. What do he know? You look at her. She's only 15, 16 years old. What does she know? And that's because they underestimate the intelligence of young people, the bravery, the strength, of young people. It wasn't 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds that changed history. It was young people that changed history. We can name them all off. Sometimes our older brothers and sisters get content and complacent. And they don't want to fight no more. They don't want to struggle no more. And that's okay for them. But don't poison us with that nonsense. So be careful when people whisper in your ear about what we should be doing. We out on the streets every day. You know what you're doing every day. You know what you do every day. Tell them what you do. And then if they got a problem with that, ask them to join us or to create an organization to do the exact same thing. Because that's how organizations are broken up. When we allow others to tell us what we should be doing. It's all right to accept criticism. We all are open to criticism. No one is above criticism. But criticism must strengthen and not weaken. Criticism must develop and not degrade. And sometimes we engage in humiliating criticism. And so the United Panther movement, which is an organization that is growing and developing in our city, it's because of what y'all are doing. It's not what I am doing or anybody else. You gave the United Panther movement this name. And you need to be proud of it. You need to hold it up everywhere you go. You need to let folks know this is what's happening. We have a strategy. The strategy is called turning the prisons into base areas of liberation and turning our oppressed communities into base areas of social, cultural, and political revolution. That's the strategy. That's the strategy. And we shouldn't change that strategy because it works. It works. The strategy works. Comrade Jack started open. It works. He started the open organization. It works. Every day they clean it in the community called Burning the Block. That works. The strategy we have, the United Panther movement, it works. 2 months. 2 months we've been doing this. And we done caused enough trouble in the city where they label us as troublemakers. And it's an honor when you stand for justice to be called a troublemaker. It's an honor when you stand for justice to have people turn up against you. Martin Luther King went to jail 39 times. 39. 39 times because he wanted to break down segregation in the South. And you know how many people stood against him? You know how many people said what he was doing was wrong? It was brothers and sisters that grew up with him, that was in the Southern Christian Leadership Organization. Turned their backs on him when he condemned the Vietnam War. Where do we go from here? They turned his backs on him. We ain't gonna let no one turn us around. They turned his back on him. I'm a drum major for justice. They turned his back on him. So this march for justice is a lonely road. There are going to be people in our very lives that we love and care about. It's going to turn their face against us. But we got to know in our hearts that we're on the right side of justice. We're on the right side of history. And if anyone is upset at you and I demanding better housing, then we need to reevaluate our relationship anyway. Anyone who is upset that we want to take money out of the charter in school and put it back into public funding, we need to evaluate our relationship with them anyway. No way in Jack's, let me watch my words, I see the little baby is in the house. No way should the charter schools in Newark be receiving a disproportionate amount of the budget for their schools, and the public school is only getting a little bit of that. That is a crying shame. That is a crying shame. That tells you of that our city, our schools, our housing has been privatized. The owners, the ruling class, the top tier who owns everything want to privatize and exploit our bodies for their own personal reasons. And we got to resist that. We got to resist that. Our communities are dilapidated, hopeless, starving. People are hungry. I'm talking about up top. I'm not talking about downtown where housing is going up, where new jobs are being developed for a certain sector of the middle class. No, I'm talking about 15th Avenue, 16th Avenue, 17th Avenue, South Orange Avenue, here in East Orange, Walnut, Grove, those spots where hopelessness and blight stalk our people like a companion. Who want to fight against that? Who want to fight against the 2.5 million people that are incarcerated? Who want to fight against that?
Let's talk about it.
2.5 million people are in prison today. We can't look at that as being normalized. There was 4 million people in slavery. And it became easy for us to normalize our own degradation and humiliation. That's what the people in power count on. Let them fight and kill one another. They're not going to touch us. And we're the architects of their misery. We're the ones primarily responsible for their humiliation. The community you live in, the community up here in East Orange, was not designed by people that look like you and I.
No.
They were designed by individuals who wanted to perpetuate a naked, brutal a space of oppression for a certain group of individuals. That's what Jim Crow was about. That's what Jane Crow was about.
Talk about it.
That's what it's about. They didn't want you to be free. Let me tell you something. Here's a good example. Congress, the same Congress that a lot of us cry boo-hoo tears over. These leaders, every 25 years, have to renew our so-called citizenship here in the United States. How many of y'all do that? You're not even a real citizen of the United States. They got to come together, the Congress and the Senate. They got to come up with a little piece of paper. Renew the citizenship for the darkies. So may y'all like me said that term, but that's what they say. They might not say it in public, but they say it behind closed doors. We renew the citizenship rights of these individuals. Well, for me, as a revolutionary, I don't really care about that. I'm more concerned about developing a new world where housing, education, water, all these things are given to our people free. And this is a new concept to a lot of people because we've been conditioned as commodities to purchase everything. But the earth belongs to us. He shouldn't be living in a dilapidated housing structure. She shouldn't be living in the same condition. She's a human being.
Hello.
She should have the best access to doctors, the best access to education, the best access to housing. But because we are poor and we don't own anything, our oppressors design the rules and regulations. But we want to shake that up. We want to break it. We want to destroy it. And how do you do that? You do that by resisting, by carrying forth the tradition that our people carried from in the 60s and 70s. And for most of us here, that's the Black Panther Party. 60 programs this little poor organization created. 60 to serve the people. A breakfast program, a housing program, a shoe program, a sickle cell anemia program, a bus to prison program, a SAFE program. SAFE was for the elders. When they go to cash their check, the Black Panther Party will be with them because we had some young brothers out of control that would take their money. So the Black Panther Party would escort them to cash their check and back home. An ambulance service, a school. This is what the Black Panther Party did. Only 5,000 members.
We're going to talk about WIC.
And WIC, that's right. We talked about that before she came in. That's right. Before she came in, we talked about how the Black Panther Party served our people breakfast in the morning, and the enemy government stole that from them. That's right. So the Black Panther Party started 60 programs. And none of these programs the federal government had in our community. But guess what they did? In order to get this brother to stop supporting the Black Panther Party, they started a sickle cell anemia program in the hospital. They started a breakfast program in the school. They started a so-called neighborhood watch in our community. That didn't just happen. That came as a result of what the Black Panther Party something. So what I'm telling you is that whenever we do something constructive in our community and it mobilize, galvanize, and organize our people, the enemy is going to come in like a snake and break it up or co-opt it.
They take it.
It's going to get some folks like you and I to say that what Shaka Zulu is doing is criminal. That's what they're going to do. You're going to get some folks to say what Shaka Zulu is doing is criminal. You shouldn't be following this brother here. He don't even have a high school education. That's what they're going to say. Or they're going to call us criminals. You know, Shaka Zulu just did 21 years in prison. You know, don't let them turn the corner. That's what Malcolm X said. Malcolm said they would not let me turn the corner because they kept holding against me my own image, my own behavior. This is what they're going to do to us because all we asking for is justice. That's all we asking for is justice. But the enemy, in order to give us justice, had to roll back white privilege. They have to roll back white supremacy. They have to roll back some of the advantages that the economy offers other people in this country. And they don't want to do that because that upsets the apple cart. Because in the Midwest here, in the Midwest, in the South, the Republican Party and the conservative Democrats rely on what they call the Southern strategy. And what is the Southern strategy? Richard Nixon in 1970 said, in order for us to maintain power and take away legitimacy from the Black Panther Party, we have to rely on the white male vote to be elected. So let's stoke up racial fears and say that blacks want to take the job. Say that blacks want to sleep with your woman. Say that blacks are lazy and on welfare. This is the same nonsense they employ today. The same nonsense. And some of us fall for that. Because we don't study. Because we don't analyze. We're too emotional.
We don't know no better.
We don't know any better. Come on, sister. Talk that
I'm
talk.
talking about it now. You
See what I'm saying?
in the building. You don't know
In 2000, in 2000,
but you don't know about it.
in 2008, Barack Obama was elected. When Barack Obama was elected, I was in the enemy prison system. And probably some other comrades was. But here was the predominant theme racing across the movement. Don't criticize him, the first black president. Don't criticize Obama. We love him. But under his tutelage, under Barack Obama's tutelage, 200,000 black families that own houses lost their houses. So black wealth depreciated. But here's the kicker. Wall Street wealth uptick. There was an uptick. $3 trillion went to Wall Street, the automotive industry.
I didn't know that.
And so the point here
I
is
didn't know
that the point here
Honestly,
is
I did not know that.
the point here is that we have to. That's right, sister. Give it to me again. All power to the people. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. The thing is that we are engaged in a class struggle. We are engaged in a struggle that can either bring us glorious benefits or we could go down and I don't know if I can use that word. We could go down in shame because we are too afraid to love one another. And the best locomotive of transformation has been revolutionary love. I'm not talking about the sentimental stuff where, oh, I love you. No. I'm talking about that love that comes from struggling together, fighting together, walking together, talking, interacting. That kind of love that grows naturally. That's how you change things. That's how you change things. I love all my comrades. I say it every time. I say it every time because there is something about revolutionary love that is funky.
Time to turn up.
That is turned up.
It's time to turn up.
And so the point here is that the Black Panther Party from 1966 to 2019 has never died. I know some of us have brought into the enemy's media where it said the Black Panther Party died in 1981. No. Huey P. Newton shut the door on the Black Panther Party in 1981. But it continued to exist. And the political prisoners we have today in prison. So we call out Wumi Abu Jamal. We call out Jaleel Muta King. We call out Sundiata Acoli.
Yes.
We call out Umar Abu-Jamal.
Talk about
We
it.
call out Veraza Bowles.
We ready.
We call out Kevin Rashid Johnson. These are political prisoners. They're not in prison because they committed a crime. They're in prison because they was feeding babies.
Unjustly. That's
And the
it.
government said, we got to find a way to lock these people up.
Unjustly.
We got to break their movement. We got to break their resolve, their spirit. Chip Fitzgerald been in prison since 1968, 50 years. 50 for being a Black Panther. And so what I'm telling y'all today is we got a long and mighty struggle ahead of us. But this struggle can be won. It can be won if we learn our history, which is the Black Panther Party history, and we strengthen our backs and our resolve. That's the only way we can win this struggle. If we learn our history, learn from the mistakes of the past, build upon the best practices of the Black Panther Party, at the same time, develop, serve the people programs in our community. We have to develop these programs. We can't exist. Right now we have one where we talk about close the prisons Friday. And there's a reason why we say that. Because the state of New Jersey is intent on building a prison right next door to West Side High School.
That's not going to
Or
happen.
South Orange Avenue. Right in front of an elementary school. A prison. It's ugly edifice.
We not
It's
doing
nasty looking facade. Smiling
Barack
down
said
on our
no.
little black babies as they come out of
The
school.
man said no also, too.
As they come out of school. Imagine that ugly monster, that Frankenstein,
That's what
that
you
a
gotta
young
look to.
brother and a young sister walking out of school
That's what
every
you gotta
day.
look to.
They see that building standing up right there. How humiliating is it? How vicious is that? To criminalize the future of our black babies.
Where you going? Talk about it, brother.
And there's a reason why they came up with this methodology. Because the scientists of white supremacy, the scientists of the ruling class, know that anytime you design a community that perpetuates humiliation, degradation, and starvation, eventually they're going to turn on one another. Because there's no economic resources in that community anyway. So they're going to fight with one another for the little bit that's there. And when they do that, God help if they go outside that community and begin to steal and rob from those with privilege. That's why the prison is there. The prison is a new phenomenon. That's not anything that just been around. They designed the prison when they stole the resources of the world. Because they said, how can I keep what I got from those who want to take it from me? I stole it, so somebody else might want to steal it from us. They came up with an armed body, with a force, and said, your job is specifically to protect my resources, to protect my riches. And that's what the police force did. And let me close on this right here. Let me close on this note. The Third Circuit Court ruled last week that the police are not obligated to help anybody in their community. Their job is only to serve those and protect the businesses in their community from thieves. That's what they ruled. The court said that. The court, last week, the Third Circuit, said that the police ain't there to help the community. The police are out of Iowa. They're going to appeal it. They're going to appeal it because it's going to go up to the Supreme Court, the higher level. But catch the wisdom there. A court said the police in your community are not there to protect you. They don't have to put themselves in harm's way. That's what the judge said. We knew that already. We know that the police is in our community to protect the business class, to protect the owners that controls everything. And so the United Panther movement, open, and the new African Black Panther Party is developing a response to this. And our strategy is called Turn the Prisons into Fronts of Liberation and our oppressed communities into social, cultural, and political revolution. That's our strategy. And we got to hold to that. And we got to study that.
I'm with that.
You know, we can't allow anybody else to weaken our strategy because it works. It works because you are here today. 2 months ago, you wasn't here. 2 months ago, she wasn't here. 2 months ago, Ascari wasn't here.
But Patrice is here.
Hey, Patrice.
All power
My
to the
name is
people.
Patrice.
And so,
My name is
and
Patrice,
so
and
the
I'm
point
here.
I'm making to you is that why stop something that works? That reminds me, before I end, of a tree. Here it is. You take a tree, and the tree grows to be mighty and strong. And folks be like, wow, that tree could be around so long. That's because its core, its foundation, the trunk is sturdy. And then it expands outward with branches, with leaves, and it holds all that stuff together. It's the same way with the United Panther movement. This is the core. Let's get this together, and then it expands outwardly.
I'm with it.
Don't weaken our organization because others don't like the fact that you are a Black Panther, and I'm a Black Panther, and they're afraid and brought into the enemy's misinformation about what the Black Panther Party is. Don't buy into that nonsense.
Talk about it, brother.
I mean, we have a plethora of information that informs us about this. Our freedom fighters are tarnished with a brush of humiliation because they don't want us to fight. They don't want this brother to stand up. They want this brother to petition. Just write us. And if we up to it, we would investigate something. They don't want him to get into the community and say, come on, brother, into political life. Come on, brother, struggle and march with us. Organize these blocks. Knock on these doors. Serve these people breakfast in the morning. Hand out this lunch bag. Or call that police out for being a brutalizer in our community. They don't want that. But we have to do something about that. And so I want to thank all of the comrades for coming here. I know that this was short notice for everybody. Hopefully we can exchange information with one another. And y'all can come to some of our more other events tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be on South Orange Avenue by Westside High School at 4:30.
Wait. You said we're going to change it, remember?
Yeah, tomorrow. It's Friday.
Yeah, but because we said school was out this week.
Spring break.
Spring break.
So we were gonna keep it to
They
the
out
original
spring
time,
break,
which
so
was
we gotta
11.
do-
Oh, the original, excuse me, thank you, Conrad. So we'll be out there at 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then next week we'll be out there at 4:30 to 6 because the kids will be back at school and we can talk to them about this prison that's going up right next door to their school. I hear you, Conrad.
That's who you touch.
That's right, exactly. We want to reach the
Young
babies.
ends.
That's right.
Young
We don't reach the babies, then there's no need for our existence.
That's right.
And so,
That's right.
all these young people, you, Conrad Una, little Bobby Hutton,
Look.
stand up, Bobby Hutton.
Stand up, Bobby.
12 years old. 12 years old.
Big Bobby for 12.
12 years old.
Bobby.
How many of us,
And I want you to live.
how many of us are willing
Don't
to
get into
allow
that mess, Bobby.
this Conrad to lead us?
Nope.
How many of us at 12 years old?
You don't want to leave this.
And the reason why is because there is the potential for him to be a great
You
leader.
want to leave this.
That's right. And so I want to thank all of comrades for coming out. And I want to thank all of you for coming. And I want to say from the deepest part of my being, let's fight for our political prisoners. Let's fight for our people. And let's remain strong and determined despite whatever forces come against us. All power to the people.
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 Excuse me, before we leave, my name is Siraj Chahar.
That's up. Come on,
I come from a
comrade.
different program. The program I represent is called Open, Our People Affecting the Neighborhood. Right? We got a different approach towards things, you feel me? We all agree with the brother, 100%. This is my brother in the movement and struggle and the revolution, but I'm a little different when it comes to things, right? Our neighborhood is what we need to put first. To the brothers like you, the brother who owned the barbershop, I think it's time we start opening your doors to the kids a little more. Let's give them somewhere to go, you hear what I'm saying? Mrs. Pat, you got the porch, let's start throwing cookouts for the kids. Let's start bringing them to your
You already know. I just got a new grill. The backyard got lawnmower. The man's in the backyard. My daughter.
Those little
I don't
ones we
mean
see
to
on the block,
cut you
that's the
daughter. This is my daughter.
Because the love that comes from people's heart makes
Talk.
everybody
Yeah.
love
Oh.
the cookout.
That's right. Go ahead,
my
tell us
daughter.
again. Tell us
For the
again.
love.
She deaf, but
So people
she know what's going
can
on.
come
Mommy, come
around
up. Sit down.
together
Okay,
for
okay.
love.
Ain't no putting
That's
it
right.
on.
That's right. Hold on. Let
And
the
they
brother
lead-
sister say what she got to
and
say.
they lead us to God in love that make us feel mindful and good.
All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. That was wonderful. So go ahead, Conrad.
Yeah, the brothers from Open, though, we gonna be out here. We definitely, we just not gonna be in the communities. We're gonna be in the hoods, like literal hoods, the trenches, wherever the younger brothers at. We going to where it need to be at,
That's
cause
where it need to be.
all the downtown and where it's
To
at.
the
So
bottom of it.
we going straight to the jungle, straight to 18th Columbia. We going to the
Ain't no
hood.
work
where
gonna
it
be able
needs
to get to the bottom.
to be. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You gotta go from the bottom to get to the top. Cause ain't nobody gonna help us but us, right? Ain't
All
nobody
power
gonna
to
help us
the
but us.
people.
right?
All
power to the people.
All power to the people.
And look,
That's
we
right.
gotta do this together as ourselves.
Yo,
we
remember,
gotta protect our own community.
everybody do me a favor. Just
Nobody
remember
gonna
that.
get it.
Remember that because we black, we got more value than a dollar. Don't ever let that dollar become more valuable than you. Just remember that.
All power to the
Remember
people.
that.
That's right, brother.
Stand outside of that. That's where the real drama is at. That's the real incarceration and that's the real slavery. Because everything in this life inside of this country is wrapped around in that dollar. So stop using it.
And
stop
that's
letting
why
that dollar
everybody
use you.
locked up.
Exactly. Everything is based off of money. Anything that goes on in this country is based off of money.
That's why everybody
So the
locked
only
up.
place to get them is the money. That's all they care about. That's what everything is about.
That's
They don't
the
even
one.
use money. It's a part of the game. This is monopoly to them. They don't walk around with money. Who you know rich walking around with dollars in their pocket?
They hoarding food.
Food is a
Want that
weapon
good
to
old
them.
dollar.
They hoarding
It's a
food.
real war going on. There's some people inside them offices, them people that represent them elephants and them donkeys, them politicians. Inside the
He
mayor's
done beat
office and
down
the
already, so
presidents
you
and
know.
them and
He
them
knows that
candidates.
I'm
And that's what we
really
need to start
like-
looking at.
Mentally woke, okay?
Talk about some we can't smoke weed, but they want me to put a gallon of liquor in my belly.
Right.
And that'll hold.
They want me to put a gallon of liquor in my
But
belly.
what really is
I can't take alcohol. I can't take
Really
alcohol and make paper. I can't take alcohol and make oil. I can't take alcohol and make cannabinoid medicine. Alcohol only kills. This is the stuff that they feed us. And then they got us drinking this tap water, what got fluoride in the water. Fluoride is a compound chemical made from fluorine. You get what I'm saying? Fluorine is an explosive yellow paste. This is what they put in the water. Fluoride is the reason you can't swallow toothpaste, but in every urban area that's inside of our water, and that's a fact. So that's what
Fluoride.
we need to start looking at.
That's right.
It's different for us. They got
And
these
you know
gray
that
zones.
really
It's
hit
different
to
for us.
north.
And
It really hit the
and
north.
we have to look through God in love.
You are God, mama. Anything black is God. Remember that. Open me up.
All power to the people.
Thank you. All power to the people.
We're going to close it out with Brother Africa saying a few words. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
We can start breaking this stuff
Hey,
down.
all power to the people. My
All
name is
power to the
Africa. I'm part of the new African Black Panther Party. Hey, this summer we're gonna have the camp. This is gonna be our 11th year of having the camp in the community. It's from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Basically, like kids that love to play basketball, you come out, you get training, we work you out, and we give you some also food for your mind. So anybody that have kids that want to bring them out, it's starting right when a week after they get out of school. We're gonna be out there the whole summer. All power to the people.
Power to the
Oh, hold on,
people.
it's free.
That part right there. Hey,
That part.
right. You could go. What age? What age they start?